Hello, the Pioneer viewers. Today I'm here again with a new report. Today we will compile the developments regarding the Russia-Ukraine war from our field sources, international sources, and official channels and present them to you with a map. War is a phenomenon with many dimensions. For this reason, the Ukrainian armed forces are not only fighting against the attacks of the Russian troops on the front line, they're also fighting a great propaganda war. The objectives of the summer offensives of the Ukrainian armed forces have largely failed. However, as we mentioned, war is a process. There may be ups and downs in this process. What is important is what is done during the process. Therefore, the resistance of the Ukrainian armed forces still deserves to be supported. The Russian government, on the other hand, is trying to end the global support for the Ukrainian army with its propaganda. The Russian army, which continues its attacks to leave the Ukraine alone, suffers heavy losses during these attacks of the Ukrainian army along the front line. So what is the latest situation on the front line? Let's examine the developments together with a map. As the Pioneer team, we continue to convey the Russia-Ukraine war to you with the most up-to-date and confirmed data. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so as not to miss our daily map reports and reports on the agenda. You can also support me and my team by using the super thanks button below the video. Let's start if you are ready, the Pioneer reports. Let's start with the latest developments on the Kherson front line. As we have previously mentioned in our agenda reports and the map reports, the situation of the Russian army in the region is quite bad, so much so that most of the Russian soldiers are either wounded or destroyed. We also know that the Russian commanders do not have any work related to this situation of the Russian soldiers. Wounded soldiers are waiting orphaned around the Dnieper River. According to the local sources, the majority of them are in hands of the Ukrainian army. This is a great advantage for the Ukrainian armed forces. As far as the clashes are concerned, we know that both sides have equal initiative during today's clashes. According to the latest reports, the fighting in the forested areas in the direction of Kherson, which has been going on for about a week, has not stopped. The Marines of the Ukrainian armed forces, accompanied by the Ukrainian artillery, continue their offensive uninterruptedly. The Russian army may seem to have recovered a little more compared to the past days. However, this has nothing to do with the recovery of the Russian army. The Ukrainian armed forces have adopted a calmer methods of attack today. Perhaps preparations are being made for a more powerful attack in the coming days. The limited artillery capabilities of the Russian army are also entirely focused on the Ukrainian Marines. The Ukrainian Marines have been carrying out very important operations on the Kherson front line since the first day of the intensifications of hostilities. The presence of the Ukrainian Marines here is therefore very valuable. We think that the Ukrainian Marines will achieve more successes here in the coming days. It is also useful to mention the artillery activities in the region. According to the latest reports, artillery units of the Russian armed forces targeted the positions of the Ukrainian armed forces deployed in the direction of Dniprovsky, Permovsky, Belhorodrov, and Ivanivsky. On the contrary, artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces targeted positions of the Russian armed forces in the direction of Krinchi, Kazachi, Laheri, Depravri, Peshenivka, Poima, and Oleshki. Let's continue our map report for the day-by-day looking at the developments in the Robotny section of the Zaporizhia front line. It was actually calmer here compared to the previous days. We saw that artillery was more active. There is a striking difference compared to the past days. According to the latest claims of local sources, Ukrainian troops and Russian troops had clashes near Zherbyanki and Luhov after a long break. However, as we mentioned, these are still the claims of local sources. Since there is no confirmed information, we don't find it appropriate to comment too much on the latest situation in the region. Let us conclude the section on the Zaporizhia front line by mentioning the artillery attacks in the area. Let us consider both the Robotny and the Vuholdar sector at once. On the Robotny sector, Russian artillery targeted Ukrainian positions in Robotny, Novodany-Livka, Malatokmakcha, and Belhorivya. And on the Vuholdar sector, Ukrainian positions in the direction of Yorkhain, Stromayorsk, Marinka, and Bolhodotny. On the other hand, artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces targeted positions of the Russian armed forces in the Rabotny sector in the direction of Verbov, Novoprokopivka, Novopokrovka, Kopani, Ichenko, and Solotka Balka, in the Woholder sector in the direction of Zavidny Bozhania, Karminchik, Novodonetsk, and Stromelinki. We continue our report by analyzing the latest developments on the Donetsk front line. According to the latest reports, the Russian army has made serious advances in Marinka. In fact, most of the ash heap and the remains of the town is behind the most advanced positions of the Russian troops. As we have already noted, the Ukrainian armed forces no longer see holding these positions as a priority. This should not raise any questions. From an operational point of view, the last demarcation line in the region is not yet a problem for the Ukrainian armed forces. This is because the Ukrainian army is focused on defending even the more strategic positions of Avdiivka. It will be difficult for the Ukrainian armed forces to hold the fortifications in Pobeda. Nevertheless, Ukrainian troops continue to strengthen their defenses in the region and to counter Russian aggression with the troops they have on standby. According to the latest reports, the Russian armed forces, supported by long-range weapons, attacked Permomoskoye, Severnoye, and Stepnoye. According to current information from local sources, the Russian armed forces have made a tactical advance behind the railway line along the front line in the direction of Stepnoye. However, as we mentioned, this information is still in the nature of the allegations. Therefore, we cannot say that the Ukrainian armed forces have definitely withdrawn from the Stepnoye area. Let us also look at the Bakhmut front line. According to the latest reports, there are new attacks by the Ukrainian army in the Klishchivka area of the Bakhmut front line. As you may recall, Russian troops have captured some positions in the past days. According to reports, these positions were taken from the Russian army. We also see a tactical retreat of the Ukrainian troops in the Bogdanivka direction. Let us conclude our report by mentioning the Luhansk front line. According to latest reports, in Luhansk direction, Russian forces launch an offensive near Torskoy. The attacks of the Russian army do not change the borderline. This is an important logistical area for the Ukrainian army on the left bank of the Zherbiats River. In the north, the Ukrainian armed forces managed to advance near Terniv and achieved tactical successes. Counter battles continue to be fought near Sinkovka. What do you think? Do you think the Ukrainian army will be able to maintain the momentum on the Kherson front line? What do you think about the latest situation on the Donetsk front line? Do you think the situation will change on the Bakhmut front line? Let me know in the comments. I read and care about all your comments.